The militants were able to achieve control of the country pretty quickly. Once back in power, representatives from the group assured Afghan citizens and the world that they had changed their ways and would be creating a more benevolent and inclusive government. Hilarious, as since May, videos of them pouring through cities and dragging women out into the streets and beating them to death have been on display. Now, I don't know what Pelosi said the other day. Something about how they care about women or some bullshit. I mean, obviously not.
That was, by the way, the most... So I rarely write back to Pelosi. I just said, this is the most tone-deaf tweet you could possibly ever send. And crickets. She doesn't give a shit. None of them care. So fucking A.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, the group of violent, illiterate murderers were lying through their teeth, through their few remaining teeth.
Yeah, there's a couple in there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell if that scene where they were making soft serve ice cream was to troll Joe Biden, or if it's just the first time they had access to soft serve ice cream, so they were excited. Because a lot of these dudes are like teenage farmers and shit that are just now in a city for the first time, and they've been recruited and forced by the Taliban in the same way that the cartels do to fight for them. So they're just like children running around.
This is what it seemed like. Did you see the one in the gym where he was doing the lat pull downs?
Yeah.
With the AK-47 on?
He really needs to follow Joe Rogan on Instagram so he can see all the dumb gym workouts that he used to post a couple of years ago and learn that that is not the standard. That is a joke. At any rate, on the same day as the press conference, Tuesday, where a Taliban spokesperson was claiming that they would honor women's rights and et cetera and allow them to continue going to school, an Afghan woman was executed in the streets for being in public without a head covering on. Another woman, it's actually funny, that woman that was the CNN lady that was there on the ground reporting 3 days before and after, 1 day after Kabul was taken over, and she went from a blonde woman in a pantsuit to a burqa. Yeah. Basically.
Real quick.
Right? And that's women's rights.
Zero to burqa real quick. That's women's rights.
That's why for years now, even amongst my lefty friends, I've been lighting people up. All like these people. Remember when ESPN, that female fencer that wore the fucking head covering?
Yeah.
Like she's just celebrating her culture. Like, oh yeah, sweet, bro. That your culture is that you are forced under penalty of death to wear that thing, and if you don't, right, it is a symbol of oppression for women globally. And you're wearing it as a fashion statement. You're a piece of shit. You're not woke.
Yeah.
You fucking cunt. Anyways, the insurgents also promised not to interfere with U.S.-led evacuation efforts of Westerners and their Afghan allies, which also turned out not to be true.
No, not at all.
The idea that we would believe something like that after they had just seized the main road into Kabul, right? They had seized the main roads into Iran and Tajikistan, right? So exit points.
Yeah.
They had set up a perimeter around the goddamn airport and had checkpoints established.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, they're going to let them through. And then General Milley was on TV this morning saying, oh, from what we understand, they're letting them through. Like, no, they're not. They're beating them to death in the fucking streets. Are you kidding me? We're getting phone calls constantly. Even CNN is publishing one. I just put one on my Instagram a few minutes ago of interpreters and just regular folks who had worked for the government of Afghanistan, not even necessarily with the Americans, are being fucking held prisoner now. Right?
Yeah.
And are not being allowed to get in. And there are checkpoints that the U.S. have established where they're not even letting people in, apparently. So none of this is true. They're all full of shit. Shortly after taking control of Kabul, the Taliban conducted a door-to-door search for men placed on a kill list for assisting U.S. and NATO troops. Reports coming from the country also claimed Taliban militants have taken control of the entrances to the Hamid Karzai International Airport, and so on and so forth. The 82nd Airborne is now at the airfield. So the airfield itself is going to be just fine. But getting people there has been a problem. I've been getting texts from people all over the country, from special operators, from people who worked in the intelligence community, but no special operators that are still over there. There's thousands of Americans still there.
Yes. And by the way, since you brought that up, we've gotten hundreds of DMs about it, text messages and everything else of like, hey, do you know anybody? Can you help me find so-and-so? There's so many people that there is no way for us to know and or help. And I know on the main page in Drinkin Bros, it's now changed to m.a.i.n to get around Zuckerberg's bullshit. people were posting so many times that they had to stop because it was just like, hey, dude, we have no way to help right now.
It's chaos right now.
Chaos.
What the government is telling people to do is to register your people through the SIV process, and then they'll get documentation, and then when they show up to the checkpoint, they'll let them through after that. So I guess just go to your MacBook at home in rural Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Fill out the paperwork online with your fucking great internet, and then we'll move on from there. That was their game plan. The 82nd having to seize an airfield, that is not a plan. That is a contingency, right? That's something that you do when everything goes wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not something that otherwise they would have deployed them before all this shit happened.
Oh, yeah.
They should have been there in May, probably, but we'll get to that later.